Thanks for tuning in to our second episode of Starting and Supporting a Safe Home for Trafficked Victims in the U.S. In this segment, we put a hard focus on the reality of starting a safe home. When I began my journey with the U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking, I can tell you that I immediately felt a dark presence that did not just circle around me, but really my entire family. There is a strong spiritual warfare around this fight, and it is not to be taken lightly. And that is not to discourage you from taking steps to help fight human trafficking. If anything, this should motivate you to do more. But Satan does more than oppress. He is the father of lies and will hate wisdom. That's the very thing that God asks us to request from him. Beginning a safe home takes wisdom, because your intentions of doing good without knowing a better tested process can hurt a victim more than help. And I know that that is the last thing that we want to do. So in this episode, we focus on the first steps of getting started and provide some resources along the way. In addition to this, we also discuss supporting a safe home. The reality is that they cannot market themselves like other ministries. The truth is that running a safe home is expensive and they need funding. We need to have a better strategy at supporting a safe home, which can be done through a family, a church, or other things. They also need businesses surrounding them to help offset costs by providing help to victims or their home at a lower cost or for free. We talk about the multiple strategies and needs around a safe home, so please listen to help understand more about how you can get involved, which can also be a very narrow process to protect the victims and the safe home itself. Stay the course and keep watching or listening to this series as we try to cover all aspects around starting or supporting a safe home in the U.S.
So going back to the training that you received, you went through 4.5 years of that. Mm-hmm. Where did you receive this training? How did you find the training? And what did you do during that training?
The person who mentors us and still does is called Selah Freedom. They're really the only one that I've found that seems to not be competitive. They want to offer all the help that they can offer because their heart is really in this to help the world, to change this whole epidemic. So I'm still with them, and this is 6.5 years later. Twice a month, I receive their mentorship, and my leaders have to come on that Zoom, and they have to go with me to understand what is happening in today's world. You learned what was happening back here, but now the traffickers are up here, so you need to learn it. So that's who I went and stayed with, and some of the sting operations, we worked with other counties with different sheriffs that let us go on those too, because when they hear that you're really interested in helping and they bust these big groups, what happens is they usually bust them on a drug ring because they cannot just go in and say you're being trafficked. The girls won't admit to it. A lot of the girls and boys don't even know they are being trafficked. They've been programmed to think they've been bad. They made these choices.
Like they're prostitutes, they're selling
Absolutely.
themselves. This is not like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when they can realize that it wasn't their fault and they have been, sexually abused or into slavery, what will happen if they will flip over and tell the truth and can go to court and point them out? Those people are going to spend time in prison. But to have a girl do that, we're working with girls right now that are in jail. They're so scared, Jeremy, that when we go to see them, they keep telling us to shh, don't say anything because they're going to kill me. And so we have to be very careful with these girls. But we work with the detectives. We work with law enforcement. We're there. That's another thing you better be trained on, because if you start to expand your territories and start to work with detectives and sheriffs, they don't want to hear what you have to say. They want you to be ready, because when they bust these situations, sometimes they have 40 girls. 40 girls, Jeremy. What are you going to do to help us? Then we come and we do whatever they say for us to do. We submit totally. We may have to take transportation. We may have to hide them in another place. But here we are, willing to do this, because it all has layers. Human trafficking has layers. Some of the girls, the detectives will actually give them a cell phone And we will be the person waiting that they call for us to come and get them. But sometimes when we think we're going to get them, Jeremy, the other people have already gotten to them and they run in the woods. And then we have to find them. We found one girl, Jeremy, that ran into the woods, and she was so eaten up with the bugs, she looked like a monster. But we gave her food, and we gave her a tent and another tent because people kept stealing it till we could get her to come to a place of safety. But you have to make sure you're ready when they say go.
You mentioned before, knowing the need for this training. The pastor told you, like, be ready, or be trained. What was he saying, and what made you feel like, okay, I got to get trained before I do this?
Well, when he looked into our eyes, there were no words being, he was clear. When he looked into our eyes, because he had done this for 47 years, he just said, please don't go out there and do this without training because you will hurt the girls and boys. So that was enough for me. Maybe I'm a different personality, but when I don't know something and I'm about to get into any type of job or ministry or organization, I submit myself to learning. I think learning along with a heart is a good thing to do. And so to go back and talk with my husband was huge because, Jeremy, I quit my job and just to right then go in the safe houses, go on sting operations, go in counseling. I took it seriously. A lot of people think that safe houses, you just go out and rescue someone and put them in there and you make a lot of money. Honestly, people have said that to me, Jeremy. Well, you're making a lot of money off this. No, I'm not, Jeremy. We hang by a thread most of the time because we don't charge them anything. We take them to doctor's appointment. Sometimes, Jeremy, they don't even have insurance because you can't say their real names. I'm fortunate enough to have a hospital. I don't know if I should name them on the video, but it's a big hospital here that helps me. They'll go, okay, then bring her in the back door. And they are so aware of our need. And one girl was pregnant, lost her baby. So they have been helped. You need help from your community. You need hospitals. You need law enforcement. You need advocates. You need directors. You need urban defense. You need all of these people. We even have people that come in and teach piano or drums or guitar. They don't even know they have gifts. But when they find their gifts, Jeremy, they're like children in a candy store. And it's so beautiful to see they'll grow something from a seed. They'll do that. And they love to be able to be taught finances or to be able to have these curriculums that teach them that they are somebody. They're finding themselves. And we're going to keep them safe. And we let them know that. We don't let them go in the bedroom. Now, you have to be careful in safe homes who you hire. Because sometimes I had to go through cleaning out my whole house, Jeremy, because a person did not stay within the boundaries. They started being a friend, which hurt the survivors, and they try to take over your safe house. You have to stay within the boundaries of your teaching.
I'm sure you've run into so many people who have a heart.
Yes.
And they want to love on, and they want to get into this. But as you're trying to say is, it can hurt by not knowing the boundaries, and it to a point probably feels awful.
Yes.
Right? Because you just want to love on them like you do with your family, but there's a limit.
There's a limit because they're manipulators. They've learned it from the best.
Yeah.
And they only know what they've learned. And they may not even mean to manipulate you. And one girl will be against another girl, and they're jealous of this girl. You can't have that. You cannot have that. I have core values, and I have a frame, and we live by those core values in the safe house. If they need to take ownership for something, we take down the frame, we go into the room, and we say, now listen, are you willing to take ownership for this? Let's talk about it. And if they cannot do their phases in this home to be able to integrate, if all they do is just keep being mean and being against someone and they don't want help, then we do have to do what's called an exit program. That's hurtful. I used to cry. I didn't want to. But one girl cannot affect all your other girls. And can I tell you, Jeremy, the reason that happens is because right now we have one safe house. We're doing everything in all the phases in one house. So when one girl's doing good and you bring in a new one, she doesn't know, why can't I do what that girl's doing? But we are building 3 other houses, which means this will be our assessment house where we assess them, we let them sleep, we give them medication, we get the dietitians, and we start trauma. Then our second house, which we're getting hopefully to build within the next 3 months, will be our residential. That means now they've got more freedom. The residential house does education, mentoring, financing, more relationships. This is getting them ready to go to work. But you still got to have your advocates. You still got to have directors in that house. Then when they graduate that part, they move on to the little condo we're building on the same properties. And that is going to be called the empowerment. Now they have their kitchen. They live in that with 2 other girls. They're more independent, still having to come to the group therapy, still being mentored by our advocates, but they now have their phones because they're getting ready to go into the work world. They're getting ready to adjust to a new world. So after they finish that phase, they go into the last one, which is independent. That independent is they pay some money to live there because they need to know responsibility. And what we do, Jeremy, is at the end of that time, we will turn around and give them back their money in a check. So that helps them to go out into the world. And we go with them. We don't put a time limit. Some safe homes say you can be here 1.5 years or 3 years. That's okay. We just don't feel that. We feel that sometimes people have triggers and then they have to go all the way back. And we don't want them to think we're going to throw you out. We go, it's okay. It's all right. Some people just need to start again. And it's kind of like a prisoner that said he can leave now and he'll go out and commit a crime because he's been there for so many years. He doesn't know how to work in the real world. But we help these girls. We're going to be with them for life. That's what I tell them. I'm with you as long as you want me, and so is my team. But sometimes you have to assess your team, and sometimes you have to say, this doesn't work. This isn't working for you. This takes a special person to work in this safe home with all those different personalities.
So if I think about the order so far of like, let's say there's someone listening to this or a church, congregation wanting to do something and start a safe home. Your first thing is get trained. Mm-hmm. And trained by, seems in this situation, you went to Selah Freedom to kind of have a mentor. I would describe Selah Freedom as more of like advanced training, if you would. Mm-hmm. If you're going to get into the fight, truly get into the fight, you need to go to Selah Freedom. And that's important. And that's part of that network that we talk about of, U.S. Institute is here to help make you even aware of Selah Freedom, of help pointing you the direction to go, or just the start of your journey in many ways. And then you go to the training, which involves the stings, really learning of how what's happening in the world before they come here.
Yeah, connect with law enforcement.
Yeah.
Connect.
Yeah.
Don't go in trying to tell them. Go in and submit to them and say, I'm here to help you. Mm-hmm. And would you help me? And then it is where you're collaborating. But law enforcement is a whole total different world. And we do offer, Jeremy, we offer training too. So if there's someone listening, they can call us and we will work with them on that training because we feel after 6.5 years that we would like to share with people too. And so we could help them. I just think, Jeremy, it's so important what you're doing because if you're not here caring enough to say, listen, everybody, there's not enough safe homes. And for the safe homes that are out there, come on. It's like, to me, it's like a ministry who doesn't have good business. And before you know it, everybody is leaving the church and there's problems. you need to do what you do to the best of your ability. And if you don't know what human trafficking is, you cannot help those who are going through it, because it is a world that you and I never experienced until God brought us into this and we began to see how evil and how dark. Listen, this is the heaviest thing I've ever done. Every day, Jeremy, we face trauma. Every day, because these girls are filled with trauma. And so what we do is we have a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, a psychologist that gets on a Zoom with us once a month for all of my lead staff. And we are helped. We are told how to empty out that feeling we feel when we're not thinking a girl is being able to move forward. They help us because we need help just like they need help, because all of that stuff is coming on us. So see, there's different levels. I feel that there's so many needs here. We have to have transportation people. We have to have them being ready to take them to doctors, being ready to take them to their attorney's office or to the courts. We just created what's called the Tyler Court, and we're not the first one to create it. We just created it here. But the Tyler Court is TYLA, Turn Your Life Around. That means the judge, the public defender, and the prosecuting attorney, who's all been here, have agreed to work with us on what's called the Tyler Court. Now we train the judges what to look for. They're not prostitute judges. What's happened is when they are worn out, the trafficker goes, hey, I'm the only one who loves you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you out there on the street. I'm going to look after you. You're going to make some money and we're going to split it. That's how much I believe in you and how much I love you. They go out, they steal for their drugs, they lay on their back. They come before the court recognizes them as prostitution. I've seen you here twice this year. I know you're going to be back. No, judge. Ask them, and this just gives me chills. Ask them, would you like help? And then I take one of my survivors into that room, and they can tell within a few moments that that person's been trafficked because they know it. And then we offer them help. Some of them say no because they think they're in love with their trafficker. Some of them say no because they're scared. And some of them, because they're scared and they're ready to give up on life, will come to us. We've had 2 cases now. 2. And I'm proud of that because they're out there everywhere. And we are trying to be a house of integrity, a house that moves and shakes when we need to get out there, when we need to get that knowledge so that we can get them out of every corner that they're going to. We will be there and do the best that we can do. We're still learning. We're certainly not perfect. This is a hard field to be in. You know, you're going to get criticized. I have people that have said awful things, but you have to get past it. You have to realize, what is your mission? And I know what my mission is, Jeremy. I know that it's to help these girls and boys. And I say boys, even though we don't take them in, because it's important that you collaborate with other organizations and other ministries, because there's 30% boys and 70% girls that are being trafficked. And these little boys and these older boys, they've been taught not to say anything, be a big boy. And we can't leave them out there. So when we find them, we can take them to these other places and keep in touch with them. We don't just find people and take them to safe homes. We check them out. We do investigations, because I'm not going to be holding hands with somebody that doesn't have the right heart for this. But Jeremy, there are organizations that are working hard like us, and if people don't help us, we're not going to be around. I don't get federal help. I don't get any federal help. I don't get a paycheck. I just started getting a gas allowance this year, 6.5 years later. I'm willing to do that. God has helped us. We pay a price to do it. But it's $600,000 a year it takes me to run this. $600,000. And that is not anything in the bank to save or for any emergencies. That's just what I need. And sometimes, Jeremy, every week I can't sleep. I'm just up, walking the floors, trying to think, who can I call to help me? I can't do this alone. This is not a job for me to get paid on. This is a calling for me. and it should be for the whole United States, because it's happening every 30 seconds. And it's a $150 billion business. And Florida is number 3, and Brevard County is a hot spot.
I don't even need to ask the question, do we need safe homes?
Yeah.
But like, something that has been more difficult than I imagined when getting into the U.S. Institute and working to grow the network and whatnot was how hard it is to find safe homes. Like, if I don't even know how people find you to give you a call, right? Because the hard thing about your ministry is how secretive you have to be.
Yes.
So you need to be known, but also secretive. It's tough, and that's why I think most safe homes do suffer. And what you said, it costs $600,000 a year to run the safe home. If you could guess on average, right, like maybe of like last year, how many beds did you fill? Or women did you see?
Well, we can only fill 7 beds at a time, but we have an outreach program too. So it's not just 7 beds in here. We're working with other people. And so that was probably about 11 altogether. And people may think that's small, but the percentage of that is high. Because if you're working with these girls and they're responding, it doesn't matter if you have 5 or 10. Your percentage rate is what matters. How's it going? Is it successful? We've got to have more homes, Jeremy. I have the property, but I only have enough for half of the money. I don't have the money for the rest. We're waiting to get that so we can clear it and do that safe home. And you know what's amazing to me? Somehow the word has got out about us, and we're getting calls all the time from agencies, from the national hotline, from different sheriffs around different counties are starting to call us. So when you are a house of integrity, when you do start working and expanding your territories with law enforcement, and you're working with the clerks of the court, we're partnering with the clerks of the court, 365 clerks that we're training, and then they're going to train us. We just got to meet with Kennedy Space Center. Just met with them. We're getting ready to get in because it happens in all of these parks and things. It's going on all the time. We just got voted in last year to go into every school in Brevard County. 69,000 children will learn our curriculum of how not to be groomed. How not to be groomed. That's huge because the schools are the playgrounds. Now, we haven't started. We hope to start. We've gone twice, but it's hard to get in to all the schools and try to get them together. But to be voted in, to do that is a miracle. And so now we're going to help these kids. We're going to teach them. We're going to teach them how not to have secrets, how to see when someone's trying to groom. Bus drivers are going to be watching bus drivers. Lunchroom workers are going to be watching lunchroom workers. We busted a teacher in Melbourne last year. Then we had one in Titusville. Didn't have any records, but we're getting ready to traffic little girls. But we got them. We got them. So if you can stop what's going on in the schools before they get them, and then we get them at a later age, we got to unlayer everything. If we could have worked with them when they were young and prevent that, that's what's going to stop a trafficker from coming to Brevard County. Word gets out like, you don't want to go to Brevard County because they're connected to law enforcement. They're getting these girls to testify. They're going into the school. Stay away from Brevard County. You don't want to go there. And I'm happy about that. I'm going to work to make that happen. And then I'm going to move on to other areas. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure these girls and boys know that I hear their voice and that I'm coming. I'm coming.
As we try to help share that there's 3 stages truly to fighting human trafficking. And in the most basic form, obviously, like you said, there's many layers. But it comes down to prevention, victim care, victim restoration.
Awareness, yes.
The prevention is what's going to help the percentage go down.
Yes.
That need a safe home, that victim care. And the reality is victim care and victim restoration are very expensive. You just mentioned 11 people, 600,000. Like, so first of all, I will say 11 people at 600,000, better than most safe homes, right? And because most safe homes only have their beds and that's all they can do. You are one of the best safe homes.
Thank you.
If not the best safe home I've ever gotten to really understand and experience. So I want everyone to understand that they're looking at a real pro here.
No, I don't feel like that, but thank you. To God be the glory, honestly.
But the reality is, like, the sad reality is that I know that when the state thinks about what's a fund, what's a help with, they look at that ROI. Oh, is it worth $100,000 a person? And that's where the community of this entire country can come together and go, yeah, it's worth it. It's way worth it. $100,000 to help a human being leave this life of hell. Yeah, we need more safe homes.
We do.
And not only do we need people creating the safe homes like you, but we need support. And the reality, and what we're going to learn in these segments is ultimately how you built your safe home to inspire others to see the right direction, a good direction that has been set. I do believe that many safe homes have their own type of way they're doing ministries, and that's okay. I think you have kind of like churches. Everyone has their style of ministry and the way and the best way to help others. For example, we need more boys' safe homes, you know?
Exactly.
But the reality is that those will be the few that begin the safe home. Then you have the entire network that you're talking about. You said you have a hospital, you have pilots, you have lawyers, you have other homes that, or I should say, other places and people that help with these other, halfway homes, the independent homes that you were just talking about,
Right.
and the whole process. It takes a network around one safe home. So if you feel like you can be part of a network of a safe home, find a safe home to support in that
Right,
way.
right.
Then everybody else can support financially.
Yeah.
If we're all giving a few bucks, $600,000 is not that much,
It's not.
you know?
You
But
know-
if you're asking one church,
Yeah.
if you're asking a few people,
They
it's a
can't
lot.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I find that people get emotional, especially after they watch something like The Sound of Freedom, which should change our hearts, and they're all emotional and ready to go. And then within 2 weeks, you don't see them anymore. They all disappear. You don't work this by emotion. Yes, it is very emotional, but you work this from knowing how to work with human trafficking survivors. A lot of people will come in and start trying to tell me how human trafficking works. I just listen silently because I understand they've watched something or read something. But until you can experience it, and I say to my husband, till they walk in our shoes, they don't have a clue. I told you earlier, Jeremy, sometimes I would run home and cry for days, or I would just run in the bathroom and vomit from the things that they've been through. It's hard to listen. It's hard to really think these things are real. People say, I don't know if I believe what you're saying is real. And you know what, Jeremy? I don't waste my time with those people because I've got to move on. There's enough out there that's going to experience somewhere, somebody they know, someone in their backyard, or it might be their neighbor. They're going to experience human trafficking because it happens every 30 seconds. And, Jeremy, people ask me, is your house filled with immigrants? Because all of the immigrants no, it's not. It's filled with people in Brevard County, right here in Brevard County, sold by their mothers, sold by their boyfriends. I haven't gotten one in my house that's been sold by their dad. They've been sold by their mothers or by their boyfriends, or either getting captive, one of them that got into this, but not hardly any of them were kidnapped. They were, we can say they were kidnapped, but they were put into human trafficking by their family. One girl told to service 2 men that came every week, and she was 7 years old, and her mother would tell her what to do. And if she didn't do it, she would pour her head back and pour vodka down her throat and say to her, if you don't want to live on the street, do what mommy says and be a good girl. How are you a good girl doing the stuff you're doing? She had multiple personalities when she came here. It was hard for me to work through.
How old was she when she got here?
Oh, she was older. She was, I think, 27, 28. I can't take in anyone under 18.
Right.
But she started at that age. So can you imagine
20
that
years.
many years? One of the girls that we got that came here was taken off the bus at 14, was not found until 31. So when you are dealing with people that's been in isolation that long, sometimes we can't keep them because they'll want to harm the other girls. They'll think that they're trying to sell them or hurt them. As you're dealing with all this psychological trauma that's in your house, and sometimes you have to call law enforcement because you realize, look, we got to take them to the hospital. They might have to be Baker active for a while because they're really having a hard time. But you still got to love them. You still got to reach out and find a mental care program. But if you're not capable of handling that mental care, you better be set up to get her into another place where you don't just go, you don't fit into my program. Goodbye. They may not receive it. They may go right back in to being trafficked. 80%, Jeremy, of those who cannot find a safe house will go right back out and go into trafficking and be re-victimized over again. 80%.
Brandy, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for Life Recaptured. I'm excited about the next segment as we start talking about exactly what a safe home should be trying to accomplish. What they've come here, and we would spend way too many hours talking about all the different possibilities and ways that victims come here and stuff like that. And I hope to eventually expand on that more. But I know in your situation, you have many ways that people come between calling and stuff like that. But what I want to talk about next is ultimately what you're trying to accomplish while they're here and how you do that. So okay. I'm excited about talking about that next.
Okay.